our young person doesn't show up today?
Ms. Peg?
Peg, would you be willing?
As in Hampton Roads, James City County strives to maintain a high quality of life for all citizens through sound fiscal management and legislative actions. In an ongoing effort to increase transparency, your Board of Supervisors holds public meetings to garner citizen input before making important decisions. Here is tonight's meeting agenda. Stay tuned. The Board of Supervisors meeting will begin shortly.
Call this meeting of the James City Service Authority Board of Directors regular meeting to order. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ms. Luton. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
Good. Thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate it. I understand that Mr. Powell, I believe, had a graduation of his daughter.
Yes, he did.
Yes, so it's very nice of you to fill in. So if you could do the roll call, please.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Here.
Mr. Hippel?
Here.
Mr. McGlennon?
Here.
Ms. Sadler?
Here.
Ms. Larson?
Here. See, we have no presentations this evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any public comment?
No, ma'am.
All right. The consent agenda has one item, minutes adoption. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. No public hearings this evening?
Ma'am.
And no board considerations. Are there any board requests and directives?
Nope.
Thank you. General manager's update.
You have the June dashboard.
You.
And I do not have anything further to add, so if you have any questions, I will entertain them.
Anybody have any questions regarding the dashboard? All right. Hopefully that was pretty painless. So with that, we will adjourn. Ask for a motion to adjourn until 5 p.m. on July 12th, 2022 for the regular meeting.
Motion.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Call this meeting of the James City County Board of Supervisors for our regular monthly meeting to order. And Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Sir. Mr. Eisenhower?
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower represents the Jamestown District. Mr. Hippel?
Here.
Mr. Hippel represents the Powhatan District. Ms. Larson?
Here.
Ms. Larson represents the Berkeley District. Ms. Sadler?
Here.
Ms. Sadler represents the Stonehouse District and is Vice Chair to the Board. Mr. McGlennon?
Here.
Mr. McGlennon represents the Roberts District and is Chair to the Board. Sitting to my far left is Adam Kinsman, County Attorney, and I'm Scott Stevens, County Administrator, and it is my pleasure to be Clerk to the Board.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Just for the information of the public, the applicant for public hearing number 4, the Ford's Village project, has asked that the case be postponed until the September 13th meeting. The public hearing will remain open until September 13th. However, the staff and the applicant will not be giving their presentations this evening. Anyone who's signed up to speak during the public hearing may do so this evening, or you may wait until September 13th. Please note that if you that you may speak only once during this public hearing, either tonight or on September 13th. If you wish to wait, then it is not necessary for you to stay this evening, though you might find some of our other work interesting. With that, we'll move on to a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We are going to ask one of our dedicated regular attendees and a very active chair of our Clean County Commission, Ms. Peg Borman, to lead us in the pledge today, right after a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I have a pin for you, Ms. Borman.
She might have a couple of those.
Yeah, I think so.
He has a pen for you.
I will tell you that the last time that I saw Ms. Borman was at a very impressive and well done, as always, Memorial Day service at Williamsburg Memorial Park. And it was always a pleasure to see her, but particularly in that event. Okay. With that, we will now move on to public comment, and I do have some speaker cards. And the first is Peg Borman.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. McGlennon, the chairman of the board, members of the board, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Purse, Mr. Kinsman, and Mr. Holt. It's good to be back. It's been a couple of years, maybe more, since I was here to talk trash, except that I did give you a presentation in January, but anyway, I'm going to talk a little trash. So, but I'm proud to say that our roads are looking much better right now than they have been. But I think that's because Grace, and we talked about it, and they've contacted the regional jail inmates, and that's helping a whole lot. And because it's hard to think that people are getting more thoughtful or concerned about what they're doing. But we don't have as many dumps as we used to have, so that does make my heart feel good about that. When we had our cleanup in April, I wasn't as able to get out and scour the neighborhoods and the county like I had in the past, but we did have a few people that had found some, and so it was good to know that they were cleaning all of those things up, because those mounds of trash that come out there, it's horrible, and I don't like people coming to visit our county and our area to have to look at all that stuff. So anyway, but our Clean County Commission is still hard at work trying to educate and get people to prevent people from littering the roadways and so forth. We're holding a volunteer appreciation. I don't know how many of you got something like this from our commission. I think I sent everybody a letter, and if you haven't signed up, I will take a secret recognition from you if you want to come. So, even though the time's passed, but I will take that. Well, we're having a picnic to honor on Saturday to honor Will Barnes. Today would have been his 90th birthday, 14th of June. And it's been 5 years since you all declared this is Will Barnes Day. But he was my friend and my big brother. And I still miss him very much. I also want to remind you that we're still looking for volunteers to go out and pick up trash. But more so, I want to ask for members to be on the Clean County Commission. We have someone we still need somebody from Powhatan, although I've given you extra credit for coming out to clean business. We don't have Jamestown, but I'm giving you extra credit because you've been at some of the things we've had, so.
Welcome to the club.
But not that the rest of you don't get to, you've come to things, so I'm giving you all a little credit too. We have two from each precinct, Stonehouse and Berkeley, so you both are covered. We've just lost one from Roberts, so we're still looking at one from Roberts.
I'll have to talk to you. I may have a nominee for that.
So, Mr. Hippel, Mr. Eisenhower, and Mr. McGlennon, we need to still look for some. I had hoped to say that we have a full commission, but we're still lacking. But I want to say thank you for the support for our commission and all the activities that we hold. We're going to be holding the Good Neighbor Grant in August. We'll be taking applications for that. And in November, we're going to have the expo, recycling expo, and the repair fix-it fair again. So hopefully we'll have something for that. And we did have the Sweet Lavender Farm got the Clean Business Award in May, and then Homestead got it in November. So thank you and have a great summer. I hope to talk trash again someday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Form. Christopher Henderson. Henderson? Okay. Curtis Stolt?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. That's actually the second time in about 3 months I've spoken to you all. I found something to do in my retirements. I've been retired from the Army in 2001 and retired from radiology at Riverside 2 years ago. But I found something more beneficial, and that's to attend lots of different board meetings. Well, this morning I attended the electoral board meeting for James City County. And I've had some experience with elections, and they agonized for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half of that meeting to figure out how they're going to run this 45 days of early voting at their current new facility. It's just not going to work out. Just do the math. James City County has 65,000 voters, registered voters. 60% of those are going to, by the current standard, are going to vote early. That's going to have to be done at someplace. But the way it's situated at their new building, they don't have enough room right now. They would have to tear down walls, then replace the walls, because the original plan to have the electoral board and the Office of Elections there is to be able to run those elections there. So that would be a waste of taxpayers' money to do such. But do the math, 65,000, 60% of those people are going to vote early. That's about 36,000 people, if my math is correct, over a 33-day period, because even though it's a 45-day early voting, only 33 of those days are voting days. From 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, there will be up to 1,500 people passing through those parking lots. The parking lots can't handle it. The two dental practices there are not going to be happy about it because their patients aren't going to be able to find places to park. It's going to make voting, long lines of voting. They have to go from 16 voting booths, which they did at the rec center, to 7 voting booths at this new facility. They actually had 8 poll books at the rec center. They can only manage to, in terms of space, get 5 poll books in the new place. That's just going to create lines outside the door. Handicap access is going to be very difficult. Curb voting is also pretty significant. They did anywhere from 50 to 100 curb votes every day they had early voting last year. That means election officers have to go out and do that. It's just not feasible at this point to do that. My recommendation, and I think that they have sent letters to you all, and I'm not sure what the response is exactly, where they wouldn't tell us what that was, but at least in the short term, we should do the absentee in-person voting at the rec center again this year until we can figure out how to work the election at the new office. because it's going to impact a lot of different people, particular voters. And I guarantee you, no matter who wins or loses of this election, the other side is going to say there was voter suppression, which I think they could easily say if that would be the case, if we use the new facility, and voter fraud. And it's wide open for that. So I implore you to think about this and support. And to me, that's be a pretty easy thing to use the rec center, which has been used for how many years? Maybe 5, 10 years? 2 years. It just makes sense because there's a lot of parking there. The space is massive compared to what they would be using now. They've used it before, so it's just the flow and the efficiency is much, much better. So again, I implore you to think about this and help support the electoral board in running a very good election, which I think, have a reputation of running a very good election in James City County. That's it.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Never get there.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Mr. Stoll, I'll just indicate that your address is 303 Moody's Run. Great, thank you. Okay. Susan Franz?
Hi, good evening. I'm at 103 Cardinal Court, Williamsburg. I also attended the electoral board meeting with Kurt today, and as an election officer, I worked many of the voting days last time at the rec center. It ran smoothly, it ran well. I can't tell you how many people commented to all of us, hey, this was great, it really went quickly, it was so easy, and my understanding of having early voting is to make voting easier for people. Well, I will echo Kurt's comments. This Ironbound location, I know it's a new location. Originally, the plan was that the other occupants of the building were not going to be there, so that they were going to be able to utilize the building better than what they're doing right now. But because there's occupants still in there, then now we're talking about tearing down walls that were just put there, installing more flooring. That makes, I also have a little bit of building experience, not a lot, but a little. That makes 0 sense to me. 0 sense when we have a perfectly functional place to hold elections at this particular election. Now, once those other occupants are out of the building, then possibly it would be a viable situation. But I urge you to really consider having it at the rec center this time. There's going to be so much confusion and disgruntled people. I can see people showing up to vote who there's going to be lines, or the parking issues are going to be so difficult for them that they're going to be like, forget it, I'm not voting. They're going to go home. Maybe they won't come back to vote, but they will certainly complain. Once again, the goal is to make voting easy. It's not going to be easy at this Ironbound location. And my understanding, based on the meeting today, was that the voting space was going to be reduced to 867 square feet. That's not doable, in my opinion. So I just hope you take our comments into consideration, and possibly we'll be voting at the rec center this time, and we can look at something different for the next election. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have no further public comment. We'll move on to public hearings. We have no consent calendar items tonight. First public hearing is 5427 Old Town Road Easement Exchange. This is a case in which the applicant has withdrawn their request for the action, meaning that the public hearing, though it was advertised, really has no item to come before it. But I will now open the public hearing and ask if we have any cards. We don't seem to have any cards, so we'll close the public hearing. Okay. Our second item is the amendment to the adopted budget for the Federal Coronavirus Relief Fund, and Sharon Day is going to give us a staff presentation.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. The Code of Virginia requires a public hearing when a budget amendment exceeds 1% of total expenditures, which for fiscal year 2022 is $2.3 million. This public hearing is to consider an amendment to the budget for the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA, federal funding received by the county. In November of 2021, the Board of Supervisors approved a plan to utilize the ARPA funding to provide government services in accordance with the federal guidance. James City County's ARPA allocation is $14.8 million to be paid in 2 equal installments. The county received the first payment of $7.4 million in May of 2021, and a public hearing was held for that allocation last June in 2021. This public hearing and resolution provides for the appropriation of the second payment of $7.4 million, which was received last week in June of 2022. It's recommended that the Board of Supervisors adopt the resolution to authorize the acceptance of the second and final ARPA payment and appropriate the funds in the budget.
Any questions for staff? And then open the public hearing. We have no speaker cards, so I will close the public hearing and ask the board's direction.
Move the motion.
We have a motion to approve. Ms. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler? Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, great. We'll now move on to public hearing number 3, which is the sale of county property located at 1637 Greenmount Parkway. And Mr. Peirce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. In 2019, James City County purchased the property at 1637 Greenmount Parkway. Subsequent to that county acquisition, Inlight Real Estate Partners, otherwise known as Inlight, approached staff and indicated its desire to purchase the property for a warehousing project. Staff finds that this represents a desirable use of the property given the adjacent uses and zoning. The price was agreed upon at $90,000 per acre for the 14.37 developable acres on site, resulting in a sale price of $1.293 million. The attached resolution authorizes the county administrator to execute the documents necessary to sell the property to Greenmount Parkway Williamsburg Propco LLC, which is a subsidiary of Inlight, and staff recommends that you approve the resolution for that sale at this time. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Peirce. Anybody have any questions? Comments? Okay, thank you. And now go ahead and open the public hearing. And once again, we have no speaker cards, so I'll close the public hearing.
I'll be glad to move the motion.
We have a motion to approve. Let me just, before we take the vote, thank staff for the very significant amount of work that went into this project and the very positive outcome for economic development that resulted from it. I think it's a great example of the county's careful stewardship of our resources. Okay, ready now to go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Okay, that brings us to, let's see, fourth public hearing, which is Z 210012 and MP 210003, Proffer and Master Plan Amendment for the Continuing Care Retirement Facility at Ford's Colony, or the Ford's Village Project. Once again, the staff has requested a deferral until September 13th, and the public hearing will continue to remain open, but if, I don't think we have any speaker cards, so no sense in really going through that whole process. So let me just go ahead then, and is there any discussion about the request for a deferral? Okay. So I will open the public hearing, and no speaker cards. We'll close the public hearing.
Oh, you leave it open?
Oh, I'm sorry. Take that back. Leave it open until September 13th. And we will do the presentation at that time with a staff presentation and applicant discussion.
You need a motion?
If you'd like, yeah.
Motion for postponement?
Okay, we have a motion to defer that to September 13th. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
We have no board considerations tonight, so we'll move on to board requests and directives.
If I can, I'll start. And I just wanted to thank everyone for the well wishes. I've been gone for 3 weeks, and it was a most enjoyable experience to be in Europe. I did want to make a few observations about what I saw there and how it relates to us here in James City County. I found that traveling through northern France, the roads were absolutely spotless. They don't have a litter problem like we tend to have periodically, and I know we've worked real hard to try to make ours much better, but boy, what a shining example they set for us. I was very impressed with that. I did manage to spend the anniversary of D-Day in Normandy. It's my daughter's 50th birthday, and it was very interesting in that I don't think they had that many U.S. Jeeps present at the original invasion. There were 40,000 people there for the celebration. First time they had a big crowd since before COVID. And there must have been about 20,000 of them Frenchmen who owned Jeeps that they brought in like people bring race cars, and they dressed up in period U.S. uniforms. And it's just like convoys of Americans were driving all around Normandy all that weekend. It was impressive. Every village you went through, every house had an American flag hanging out. Every lamppost had a picture of an American soldier, his name, and his when he was killed in action there in Normandy. So they remember, and they remember beautifully. And it made me very proud to be an American and be there for that. So it was sort of one of my bucket list items. I've really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it to everybody.
Jeff?
Good job. I appreciate all your service. Thank you very much. Went out to the Lavender Farm for the award ceremony out there. That went very well, and the county administrator went out there with us and some staff members as well. If you haven't gotten out there lately, it's amazing what they've been able to do out there. They're still having some issues with the lavender plants, and the sunflowers that they planted last year. They ended up, I think, 2 acres of sunflowers, and ended up with like 3 plants because the deer ate most of them down. So they're having a little issue there with the deer, but the farm is looking wonderful. They've done such a wonderful job. Looks very good. Also, tomorrow we have Juneteenth, and I'm sure the county administrator will bring that up on his report. Also, Thursday we have Harumpha. The county administrator and I are going out to Harumpha and HR TAC, and Admiral Quigley, who's in charge of director for Harumpha, he'll be retiring, and in fact they're having a farewell for him on Monday, but he's getting ready to head to Las Vegas for retirement, he and his wife, and enjoy his time out there in Las Vegas. So we'll be looking for a new replacement as time goes on for Harumpha. That's all I report. Thank you.
I wanted to bring up a couple of things. One, I received a letter. There was recently a fatality on Green Springs Road at the intersection of Green Springs and the Main, and I had asked the county to get some information regarding, because since my time on the board, there have been several requests that the speed be lowered, not by me, but by citizens. And so that question was asked again, if we could do an information gathering from VDOT and from the county. And I know the county administrator is gathering information for me regarding the number of accidents that we've had on that road in the past few years, and other things. But in the letter that I received, the person stated that, made a comment regarding the bike lane that is at Green Springs and Route 5, and was very surprised that I had never mentioned it. And I believe I have, several times, as a matter of fact, because I have great for the Capitol Trail. I think it's really cool. I think it's one of the best things that we have. It brings visitors. I'm excited about the expansion. But if you could have picked a worse spot to put a crossing for a major bike path, or the Capitol Trail, I don't think you could have done it than where it is at what was an extremely dangerous intersection that has been helped by some changes that we've made over the past few years, but it is still, there's a busy establishment on the corner. People stop to let bicyclists go, and then you have people that are turning from Green Springs, and they're caught short when people are stopping short to let a bike come in front of them. It is of great concern to me. I want to go on record as still being concerned about that intersection. So, but we were supposed to get something from Mr. Rossi. I had asked for if we'd seen any decrease with Centerville in 5 and Green Springs in 5, since we have done even though we have people that still like to turn there. But I think he thought that it was too short of a time, but maybe we could go back and ask if we've seen any decrease in, which I hope we have. It seems like we have, but that is still a place where I worry very much about safety. And then today I want to thank the county administrator and Tony for going out with me to look at an issue that has been raised in Fernbrook. As you know, that neighborhood, we have been working for many years with that neighborhood on some sinkhole issues. A lot of work has been done. However, they are still experiencing a lot of issues. And the fix seems to be, let's stick a cone here and let somebody know that we've got a terrible safety hazard. But then we don't come back and revisit the safety hazard. So I'm really hoping that the county administration will have some luck in talking with VDOT. These do fall in their right of way, to see if we might be able to get some of these things fixed. I know VDOT is, much like everybody else, probably short on workforce. The funds issue, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if we should call the governor. I'm not sure who to call, because from what I'm hearing, we have a surplus. But VDOT doesn't seem to be getting any of that surplus money. And so I'm hopeful that we can start seeing some issues like this taken care of, which I really feel are low-hanging fruit, but very important to safety and to people's welfare. I was told that there was one house in that neighborhood that tried to refinance, and they were unable to do so because of the issues in the neighborhood. That's very serious, and that's not something that your average homeowner has anything that they can do about it. So, so I hope that we'll take those seriously. Regarding public comment that was made earlier, I'm hopeful. I know that we received a letter from the electoral board, and I know that the county administrator has been working with the electoral board, I believe, and so has Assistant County Administrator Brad Reinheimer. Perhaps if that office space isn't going to work, maybe we should look at perhaps moving the voter registrar somewhere else if we're going to just use the rec center as our permanent. If that seems to be the most like solution, there might be some other office space somewhere else, and we could move another county office there, because I was hopeful that when we made that move that we would be able to, make that work. So, but my other question is too, would it be possible to find out what is your similar size counties, what are they doing, and what are they offering for their citizens for early voting, and as far as office space goes, and maybe the Commonwealth of Virginia might want to step in and offer to give some some help financially towards something like that. Voting is, just as the public commenters said, that voting is extremely important, and we want to make sure that everyone is able to do so. Other than that, it has been a busy, busy time for the Board of Supervisors of James City County. I'll just hit a few highlights. One, I was fortunate enough to go to Stafford County in the beginning of June for a VACO meeting, and I had no idea of the charm of Stafford County. I got to visit, we had our VACO meeting, but we also went out and saw several highlights of Stafford County and found out that the stone, the White House, Washington, President Washington, that's where he had seen the stone, the original White House before it was burned. That's where the stone came from. But so much interesting history there. I would encourage you to go visit, and very much want to thank Meg, the president of VACO, and the chair of the Stafford County Board of Supervisors for hosting that meeting. And last Thursday, we had the chamber business meeting, and several James City County businesses were recognized. Chris Johnson was there, and in fact, gave several of the awards. Scott and his wife attended, and also John from Parks and Rec. So it was very nice. It was held at Ford's Colony, and so that was great. And then on Friday, it was a very busy day of graduations, and I took over for James City County. The first graduation, they said I was the chair. The mayor wasn't there, so I ran for 2 hours. I was in charge. I was looking for a balcony so I could sing the "Don't Mess With Me" Argentina song, but I couldn't find one. So anyway, it's been very busy, but it was very good. And Mr. McGlennon attended the graduations as well. So, and he didn't take me off stage with a hook when they said that I was the chairperson. So anyway, thank you. And when you have a chance to get the information about the other counties, that'd be great.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I'd like to tag on with Ms. Larson. If you are getting any kind of update from Rossi about those special little locations that we had, the one up at Rochambeau and Old Stage, I'd be interested in any kind of an update from that one as well. Also, when you're leaving the Whisk and you're at Long Hill Road, and the sign where the Whisk is, there's these glorious rose bushes there. However, you can't see what's coming. You're almost in that lane of traffic right there in Long Hill, and people fly through there. That's a wonky kind of a spot anyway. But so, I don't know who owns that little
think we do.
Piece with the rose bushes, but that's somebody needs to trim those, put them on this side and not on the roadside or something. But anyway, I did receive a few complaints about that, myself included, because I'm through there every day. And I just would like to congratulate my grandson's baseball team, the Orioles, for coming in second place for Williamsburg Youth Baseball. They had a great season. Turned out to be a great little pitcher with the help of his granddad. So we're off and running for the summer. So congratulations to all the graduates out there, and hope the kids are all having a great start of their summer vacation. I know I've been busy already. I'm good.
Thank you very much, and we need to get your the major league counterparts to your Orioles. To,
Yeah, only the
perform
kids,
as well.
they change teams every 5 minutes, so yeah.
Help them out.
Help them out.
So I've got a couple of things that I would like to mention. First, as I think I mentioned earlier, I was pleased to attend the Memorial Day services at Williamsburg Memorial Park. It was a beautiful day, comfortable temperatures, and a great enthusiastic crowd after a couple of years of not being able to have an outdoor ceremony at that location. Along with Ms. Larson, I attended the graduation ceremony for the GED students
Oh, yes, that's right.
at Jamestown High School. which was always a very inspiring event, and this year had a remarkably large number of graduates who have found that program provides an alternative way of learning that works better for them and allowed them to succeed, and I think that's terrific. A third item is that, as Ms. Larson indicated, she attended all 3 graduation ceremonies this year. I had a previous commitment in Richmond for the Jamestown High School graduation ceremony, but did attend Lafayette and War Hill's graduation ceremonies, and it's always a great pleasure to see our young people succeed and to witness the enthusiasm and encouragement of their families in that regard. Sometimes over enthusiastic, but it's always nice. And I also had an opportunity last week, as I know Mr. Stevens did, to speak with the reaccreditation team for our Parks and Recreation Program certification. We are among a handful of localities that have such programs, and I think for the size of our community, it's really unusual. I think under 20 such Parks and Recreation programs in the Commonwealth are certified, and we are very successful in that regard. And I will tell you that the reviewers were totally unbridled in their sense that we are doing great things with our program, that the preparation for the accreditation team visit, which unfortunately was a virtual visit, was fantastic, and that they, while they said, of course, we'll have some ideas and suggestions for them, we can tell you that you have a premier Parks and Recreation program. And I think we know that, but it's great to have that external validation.
Absolutely.
On Saturday of this week, I attended the Coming to the Table ceremony at Freedom Park, where the guest speaker was Donna Melcher, who has, she's a retired IBM executive who has a history that includes her family had some slaveholders in the families. And so she's undertaken personal reparations and provided a $10,000 check to the new initiative of the Coming to the Table, which is the Virginia Racial Healing Institute. Coming to the Table is an effort to bring together people across racial lines, and not only the descendants of slaves, but the descendants of slave owners, to try to reconcile and bring racial healing. And they had a sold-out crowd of 50 folks attend that event, and it was very inspiring and interesting. Earlier this afternoon, I attended a memorial service for Michael Flannery. Mike was a financial accountant and tax preparer in Towne, co-owner with Andy Bradshaw, former member of this body, of the Towne Bank building. And although he was a resident of what he described as the Bahamas of New Kent County, Barhamsville, he was a longtime resident of Williamsburg and has a long history of graduation from our public schools and so forth. Mike's untimely death is something that brought a lot of folks together to celebrate his life, and just wanted to mention his passing today as well. A couple of other quick things to mention. Our county administrator informed us last week that VDOT is going back to the drawing boards on the pipeline project that was designed to look at issues relating to 199 Jamestown Road, Brookwood Drive, and Route 5. They recognized that the kind of dramatic changes that they were proposing were not met favorably by the community, and they are planning now to go back to rethink the approach that they're going to take, hold a number of community meetings this time to get the reaction of the public to what they are proposing, and we will, I know, provide a lot of publicity and information about the availability of those meetings as things go along. I also did want to mention that I've asked staff to prepare a resolution, and I'll just briefly read that to you. It's a commendation for the leadership and service of Ms. Virginia Ginny Wertman. It talks, first of all, about her previous career before coming to James City County, and then continues, whereas Ms. Wertman, in her retirement, continued to provide exemplary service, dedication, and leadership by serving on the James City County Workforce Housing Task Force from December 2017 through February 2019, and whereas from late 2019 through 2021, Ms. Wertman served as the Planning Commission Working Group, on the Planning Commission Working Group, and was also chair of the Citizens Participation Team, which was the citizen group appointed by the Board of Supervisors to lead and promote public engagement for development of our county, our shared future, the James City County 2045 Comprehensive Plan. And whereas Ms. Wertman has served as a James City County election official, and whereas Ms. Wertman has contributed to the larger community as well by serving on the Board of Directors of Housing Partnerships Incorporated, serving as Vice Chair for Membership and Outreach for the WJCC Democrats, and being a member of the local chapter of the NAACP. And whereas Ms. Wertman's commitment, willingness, and ability to serve in these roles has made a substantial contribution to the betterment of the county, now therefore be it resolved that as Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, I hereby honor and commend Ms. Virginia Wertman for the tremendous service she has given to the community. I have asked that proclamation because Ms. Wertman has been experiencing some significant health issues and wanted to make sure that she understood how much our community has valued her service to us. Finally, related to that in some ways, I did want to draw your attention to the fact that on June 30th, the Coalition of High Growth Communities will be holding a conference in Culpeper focused on the issue of affordable housing. We expect to have a very useful and productive day, and I certainly invite any board members who would like to attend to do so. Any staff members who would find that to be a useful enterprise would also be very much welcome. The event will be taking place at the Old House Vineyards in Culpeper County, and we have, among others, Zach Mannheim, who some of you may recall, constructed that 3D house in Forest Heights that was in conjunction with Habitat for Humanity and completed in December of this year. We have a presentation from JLARC that is focused on their draft report on affordable housing in Virginia, and we'll have a panel discussion with advocates for housing approaches that might help us to address some significant issues related to affordable housing. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that event coming up. And
what's the date again?
It's June 30th. It's a Thursday, and it will take place from 9 in the morning until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And with that, I will turn it over to the County Administrator for his reports.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple items this evening. I do want to mention the Juneteenth celebration that Supervisor Hipple had mentioned. It's for county staff, Wednesday, June 15th. We do want to have a celebration with our staff at Freedom Park. It begins at 11 o'clock. So any of you that are able to attend that, we'd appreciate having you there as well. And then county offices are closed in observance of Juneteenth on Monday, June 20th. I also wanted to remind our residents that hurricane season has begun. It runs now through November 30th, and it only takes one storm. So no matter what the prediction is for the country, only one storm passing through can have a significant impact on James City County. So now is the time to be prepared and be thinking about what you would do. And just a few things for our residents to consider. First is make a plan. Know what you will do in the event of a hurricane or any type of emergency. Know where you can go, know how you contact your family, know how you look after your pets. Secondly, prepare a kit to support your family, and the guidance is 3 to 5 days, which should include food, 1 gallon of water per person per day, a battery-powered radio, and of course batteries, first aid kit, prescriptions, and some cash. And then if your property is at risk of flooding, now is the time to purchase a flood insurance policy. Your homeowner's policies generally do not cover flooding. And because of our stormwater division's works, James City County residents share some of the biggest discounts in the nation in terms of flood insurance. So kudos to our staff, and hopefully that's a help to our residents that determine they need flood insurance. And then finally, stay informed. We do have an alert system that you can sign up for at jccalert.org, where we will send you notifications when there's a hurricane or any other type of emergency in our community. And then there's a pretty helpful website of ready.gov that will help you emergency plan almost any type of event, hurricanes included. But I just wanted to share those two items and take any questions. But thank you for letting me do that, sir.
Thank you very much. With that, we have a motion to move into closed session for consideration of personnel matter, the appointment of individuals to county boards and commissions pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, specifically appointments to the Williamsburg Regional Library Board and the Economic Development Authority. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
We have a motion. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. meeting back to order. Looking for a motion.
I'm certified that we only spoke about those matters that we said we would.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We have nominations.
Hey, I will make a nomination to appoint Ms. Feather Foster to the Library Board for a term that expires, I guess this will be July 31st. It's a 4-year term, 2026.
Okay. And do you want to just go ahead and do the two?
Yeah, I'll do the other one if I can find it here real quick. Hang on. We would also reappoint Mr. William Turner for a term on the Economic Development Authority that ends June 30th, 2026.
We have a motion. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn to 5 p.m. on June 28th?
So
for the
moved.
Regular meeting? We have a motion?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Oh, wait a minute.
1
I'm
o'clock.
sorry. 1 o'clock on the 28th for the business meeting.
We still say aye.
Still say aye. Right.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Are we
Okay,
adjourned?
Are we adjourned?
Adjourn.
Okay.